monuments. They will compare them to disfigured sphinxes, though they admit they'd never seen anything like them before. These seemingly human forms were only an introduction to a monstrous repetition. One of the monuments is composed of 8 human feet attached to a head that appears to be resting, its eyes closed. Niklas Bruunis draws them covered in dried algae, with blue and grey shadowing that he reserved for apparitions at the bottom of the sea. Here the explorers begin to make sense of the labyrinth of caves that exists beneath the island's surface, the system of subterranean grottos that snakes about below the crater floor. The sea flicks its tongue underground, the water coursing through chutes into caverns dozens of kilometers long, which must have been given form by huge bubbles of air and gas, created as the lava flowed down in a cloak of smoke and chaos from high in the sky, plunging finally into the sea. According to the history of the Guanche sect, the members of the expedition, to whom must be added Suriman, Beitu, and Sasha, the slaves, passed through a valley of scalded rock and arrived at the hidden village of Mahan. But as they wandered amongst the deserted monuments, exhaustion overcame them, and they lay down to sleep, a single great snoring beast made of men, one on top of the other. In the sky, birds circled. They were awakened by the murmuring crowd. Time to make a pact with the natives. Calm and cheerful, the local inhabitants, bare torsos, pudenda covered with sheepskin garments, led them through a maze of grottos to a large, round cavern, in which the most distant stalagmites look like a group of expectant creatures, softly gilded by some special light. Far above, a hole in the rock opened to the sky. The sun is so strong outside that it would leave the travelers blind, so they concentrate on capturing the cavern's internal flora. The burnished lichens and blue anemones are home to albino turtles, crabs, and other crustaceans whose meat is transparent, and put off collecting specimens from the surface until the following day. At night, the chanting begins, the dancing and the drums. Bruunis describes a group of natives who meander about, talking with their eyes rolled back. They enter into a colloquy with their gods, and from behind the stalagmites appear several dozen local women whom the explorers hadn't seen before. Meanwhile, Venus advances ardently, cutting across the sphere of the sun. In the course of this phenomenon, which occurs twice a century, and to which wonders and catastrophes are often subsequently attributed, the gravitational pull of Venus drives animals and ocean tides mad, uniting the silent, brutal forces of the earth and sky. From the surface of the island, however, one can barely see through the opaque haze that comes from the Sahara and spreads itself across the archipelago. And now the visitors begin to commingle with the natives, entering into the genetic history of the island in a torrent of semen and blood. The commentators have estimated that there were approximately 23 girls, as well as a handful of adults with shell-hard skin, that took part in these ceremonies on this island, where trees can live for several thousand years. Dracena draco, vegetal dragons whose dry skeletons branch into cartilaginous crests, and which contain a dark lymph famed for its regenerative qualities. The members of the expedition believed they were suddenly part of an astonishing fertility ritual. As the orgies begin, the descriptions lose their habitual precision. In a timid but denotative style marked by periods of discomfort, the young Niklas Bruunis describes the women advancing individually, or in groups of 2 or 3, throwing themselves with a tranquil ferocity onto the explorers' genital geysers, twisting down over the tips of their organs. Though the light shed by these documents is dim, it allows the reader to follow a number of concurrent events. Each female takes in each foreign organ several times, with an average yield of 3 milliliters of seminal fluid per act. After each contact, the men fall into a profound state of torpor from which they do not emerge until another woman arrives. The men describe how, hypnotized, they saw pearlescent opals in the darkness, annelids that fell from high above, spinning in the air, luminous. In Bruunis' illustrations, the ladies of the island appear spread like spiders over the bodies of the travelers. He establishes that the women conceded minimal refractory periods until the semen was followed by water, then